There's always something that needs a little fixing on Far Point Farms.
Hey guys, it's Eric, owner of Far Point Farms, restorations and repairs here in the mountains, North Carolina. Tonight, a quick video, a how-to video. Who here has not broken a lug nut off and broken the stud with it trying to remove it? These things get over-torqued by, impact guns or people that just aren't doing it the right way, not torquing it to the right spec. And so they'll stretch the threads, and when you go to take them off, they'll snap. A lot of modern Subarus, they just break. I mean, they just do. Even when they're torqued exactly right, after 3 or 4 oil changes, 3 or 4 tire rotations, these studs will just break off and take the lug nut with it. What I'm going to show you is that you don't have to replace the whole spindle or hub assembly in order to fix this. In many cars, like 95–94% of cars, you can use one of 2 methods to go ahead and fix this, and you can do so for less than 10 bucks right at your own house or at your own shop. Let me get the camera closer in right here on the table and I'll show you. Okay, on this side we're using the old school way. This is what I used for many years until coming across this other device here, but we just use a large lug nut, or not a lug nut, but just a large nut. This happens to be an axle nut, probably off a CV axle that I've hung on to. Pretty good size. We want it to be very large to fit over the existing stud or the new stud that we're going to install. And to give it some go, we're going to give a couple washers, right? I would take those 2 washers, place them against the wheel hub assembly. Might have to trim them down so they'll fit flatly against the wheel hub. And we're going to place my stud in from behind, and I'm going to place this on, and I'm probably spray a lot of lube here. I'm going to use my new lug nut, and I'm going to tighten it down. That's going to pull that stud, the splines of that new stud, through the hub assembly, and you will have it going on. Tonight I'm going to actually demonstrate on a Honda Civic just to show you how easy this is. And I'm going to use this Leslie wheel stud installer. Part number is 22800. I found these at a shop I was working at. One of the guys had one. It's inexpensive and it just works, and it works really well. It's got a bearing in there, so instead of having to worry about stacking washers, you give it some spin. The bearing in there keeps everything lined up and makes everything work beautifully. It's also beveled on the outside so that your stud, your lug nut, when you're screwing it in, isn't going to get damaged. You can see most of these are acorn style. They're tapered inward. So that's it. So let's go ahead and go to the Honda. Then let's show you how easy that is. So there's our broken stud. Now, you can take a hammer and kind of hit around the face here, and that'll loosen it up. This one's got some rust built up around the hub face here, so it's still sticking. You'll notice there's a hole here and a hole here, and they are threaded, and they are threaded for a reason. You actually thread in some bolts here, and you can, by applying even pressure to both sides, you can remove these. Usually they'll pop loose if they're sticking. Just a little bit each time. Oh, until it pops loose. And that's it. That exposes the hub, or the spindle. There we go. So, the next step here, we're going to use a little bit of excessive force. There is our broken stud. I'm going to take a hammer and whack on that and push it out. It should pop back out in there. Might have to fish it out, but that won't take but a second. All right, I've got a sledgehammer, but you certainly don't need one. Any household hammer will do the job here. That's it. It pops out to the back there, and we slide that out. And what you see here is that the stud is splined. There's very small splines right here, and that's what holds it into the spindle itself. So go ahead and toss that one, and we'll be ready to put our new one on. Well, I've got this off. Good time to take a look at your brake shoes. These look fine on this one. A little bit of wear on the fronts, but no leaks, no major rust issues. Everything's looking good, and that's kind of unusual. So we'll go ahead and grab the new stud. Okay, so here's my new stud, right? And you're going to make sure that it works with the lug nut you bought, because I'll be honest with you, sometimes they'll sell you the wrong one. There might be multiple choices. And you have to slide that thing back in there. This could be a bit tricky. Try to slide it in, work itself out. There we go. Now we've got it there. Now I will do is take a little bit of oil or a little bit of lube here and put it there. I'm also going to put some on the threads. Normally you don't lubricate threads for lug nuts, but in this case we want this thing to slide in here a little easier, so we are going to lube it a little bit. Not crazy amount, just a little squirt, right, just to help it come in lock into place. The next step is to use, if you're going to use a giant nut, you're going to take that nut and slide it over this. In this case I've got the actual tool. I'm going to lay that on there, then I'm going to put this on, tighten it down finger tight, and it'll be time to hit that with the impact gun. Be mindful when you're doing this that as you tighten it down, you don't want to overstress it. You're just trying to pull that splined area back into position. Okay, so you're not trying to overdo it. You'll break your new one just as easily as you broke the last. Back gun, tighten it down. Normally you would use an impact socket. I don't have one at the house right now, so we're going with what we got. That's it. You can reach back there and take a look back there, and it's nice and tight. Pull it out. You can see that the stud has come through. They're at the same depth. It's that simple, everybody. So that's it. I'm ready to put this thing back together again. So that's it. Really simple. It is not unusual, and this is why I made this channel, for a person to have a broken lug nut and stud on their car, take it into a shop to have it repaired, and come out with a quote for a new press-in hub and wheel bearing assembly because they want to replace the entire spindle, not the spindle, but the whole hub face, all 5 studs, you name it. That is, again, in 95% of the cases, not necessary. There are some Honda all-wheel drives or front-wheel drives where there just isn't enough clearance to sneak the stud in from behind. But in most cases, a Toyotas, your American cars, your European cars, which a lot of those have lug studs or lug bolts instead of lug nuts. But in most cases, if it's available, you can just replace the stud. That's it. It's a simple video. It's hopefully a quick video, and I hope it helps some of you out there save a bunch of money and learn that you can do a lot of stuff yourself with very little money. Until next time, my friends, take care.